we have new stencil duos, and let me show you with the new designs. They're pairs, so that you have a big open design and you have a smaller pattern that works with it. Let me show you how I like to open the package and work with them the best for storage. So here you have your two stencils and ideas and things on the back. And in each package, in addition to the two stencils, you have a fine line pen, which is a 0.3. And you also have a set of white note cards folded that you can enjoy practicing or making into some finished cards. By opening the package at the top, you actually can put everything back into this little bag for storage and slide the stencils back into their little envelopes and keep it all together if you like. Your fine line pen is going to work the best if you hold it vertically. Start in some little corner. Push gently against the edge and run it all the way around. That's going to keep your tip the best, and you're actually pressing the metal edge to the metal stencil, and it just glides all the way around. Now I want to show you how you could combine things with the next pattern. So let's say you had traced the first part. Now take this pattern, and we've designed it in such a way that if you were to line up the corners of the two stencils, it would fit together in probably the simplest way to combine the two patterns. So if you wanted to tape these together, then you could work without interruption to tape the rest of the way, to trace the rest of the way around. And now you're coming up to the edge of the first stencil. So you can see how you could just continue all the way across with that, and ultimately you would have the combined pattern like this. See how fast I am? Okay, then I wanted to show you as well, if you want to just use the more detailed pattern separately, you can create a lot of beautiful patterns just tracing those outlines. And here I thought I might even cut this one apart and use just a part of it. I thought it might work for a little hillside or something, and you can use the pieces separately. Or you can continue with your pen, and if you enjoy just doing patterning, you can do this with the stencil still in place, or work with it freehand within all of the compartments that you've created. And you can just keep going as light or dark as you like, and then go back in perhaps with color after you've done your line work, and you might have fun with some of your other markers. And again, you could simply color in freehand, adding color to black and white, or you can put the stencil back in place and then work your color in that way. Now let's try some quick color options. If you don't want to worry about getting color around the outside edge, then the tape gives you a way to simply hold the stencil in place and cover up the rest of it here. And this is just a removable tape. Now, using my Dreamweaver stencil brushes, I've got a Splendor ink pad with a lot of different colors on it, and the large brushes make it quick and easy to come in. And usually I will want to test this on a bit of scrap paper. Just to make sure I don't have an unexpected really dark bunch of ink on my brush, and then I'll get all blotchy. But this way I can come in with a soft circular motion, and working from the edges in, I can get an airbrushed sort of look in minutes. Your brushes can be washed out with soap and water and left to dry, but it's a luxury to have a handful of them, and then you can easily sort of reserve one for your blues or one for your purples and kind of just work your way around that way. So let's see, so now I'm going to add my pattern on top. This first element created my shading to make my watering can look a little bit three-dimensional. And actually, I'm going to add a little bit more here. Okay, and you can take a little bit more time to do some more careful shading, but you get the idea. Now I'm going to take this stencil and add it on top, and by lining up the corners again, I'll know that I get a good lineup. You can see where I've planned the patterns to work well together. So now let's take a second color, and I think I'll go with the blues now and add this color on top and see how that works. Probably would do a little bit more, and of course you could do any colors, but that gives you the idea of how you can apply color using the duo stencils together. If I wanted to do some pasting with the Dreamweaver paste, I would do a similar approach with taping the edges with the removable tape, and maybe even working with both stencils together. And there you can see a really fun and easy start to creating a pattern. This one also works in a way like a background, so the angles work if I wanted to place it back down on top and create the look of the distance coming in as a backdrop to the watering can. So lots of fun ideas with that. And then you can just wipe off any ink to make sure it's nice and clean. If you go back to other colors and go back to your pen work, you want it nice and clean. can see with the rose pattern that you can make a beautiful soft coloring. This one I did with my color pencils, and you can even do your coloring with the stencil in place. And I had traced it with the pen, so that gave me the lines, and then you can work with or without the stencil on top. On this one I did a bit of coloring, and then I did some fun little squiggles, and then here you can see where if you add the second pattern, it gives you a radiating pattern that can look like all of the veins of the flowers working their way out. So, and then this pattern, when I color it with the greens, will give me the look of a lot of other leafy sort of things that I used in the backgrounds. And of course there are many other patterns that you can do playing into just this design by itself. So have some fun experimenting and see what patterns you come up with. And look for a gallery of ideas at the end of the video. The sunflowers give you lots of fun options as well, and it can be a sunflower or it can just be what crazy wild colors. And look for ways that you can combine different designs from one set to another. And some of these go back to some of the earlier releases, and you may recognize some of the other flowers here. If you're willing to do a little bit of hand cutting, you can cut right up close to the edge, or you can, as in this case, cut with a white perimeter, and I think that works nicely with the interior spaces of white. And you can combine flowers and watering cans and all of these different images, or make nice mix and match combinations. The idea of the duo stencils came together because of so many interesting ways to combine your stencils. But if you have a real open design and then you have another pattern that works with it, you can really begin to get a wide range of possibilities. But don't forget, there's so many other stencils as well. So let's take a look at this stencil, for example, and you can see how fun that would be to do a combination with this one. And you can see there, you begin to get a really beautiful combination pattern. And you can see how this butterfly and this floral pattern, when you trace this one first, and I did a heavier line on it, for example, so that then you could come back with this stencil and trace only the different areas around behind it. So there's just so many fun combinations that you can do. And with one little flower stencil and adding your own patterning, you can really have a lot of fun. Add your birds. Do patterns within patterns. Here you can see one pattern done in color, and then to trace or work with the elephant on top would be really fun. Here's one with the heart and more patterning behind it. And here's a favorite where I combined one pattern inside another and just kept adding to it. So lots of stencils will give you lots of fun combinations.